What's going on, guys? Larry here with part 2 of the leg backloading video. In this video, I'm not going to get into any of the training. We'll have some clips of training, but really it's just how to structure your leg training. And I'm looking at this from a master's competitor point of view. And the reason for that is that I've had to drastically alter how I train legs the older I've gotten. I'm 43, I'll be 44 next August. So how I did things in my 30s, even my late 30s, is a little bit different than what I'm doing now. So as you can see here, I have basically how your leg backloading, how it should be laid out, and also some things to keep in mind when you're doing the leg workout. So this is a special one for my 40 plus crew, my 50 plus, 60 plus crew, but also on top of that, I think a lot of young guys who want to have longevity in their bodybuilding careers should also take into consideration some of the things I'm about to drop. But before we get into all of that, I want you to go click that like and subscribe button. Let me know if this video helped you out at all. If it didn't, if I suck, please let me know, and I'll do my best to improve. Alright? Despite being on YouTube for a long time, I have not gotten a lot of traction, and I'm just trying to listen to what other people have to say that consume my content, so please let me know. Alright, so the first thing with a backloaded leg workout that you want to keep in mind is that you want to start with hamstrings, okay? So this is something that I have to give props to John Meadows for, in that he taught me through various uses of his programs that you want to start out legs with a pumped hamstring. You'll get a natural rebound from it, similar to what powerlifters get from knee wraps. Not 100% like that, but that's the best analogy that he was able to give, is that whenever you do any type of quad movement, you will get a natural rebound and your legs feel much better. When you train your quads, it's much better to have a pumped hamstring than a non-pumped hamstring. And it's made all the difference in my own leg training, and my hamstrings, which was once a very, very weak body part, have gotten somewhat respectable just by starting out with hamstrings. And that means any type of seated leg curl, lying leg curl. For a while I was doing Romanian deadlifts on my leg and back density days. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. The other advantage of having hamstrings at the beginning of a leg session is that hamstrings are often neglected if you do the total leg within your training session like I do. Now if you switch it up, if you separate it and you train back with hamstrings, or some type of odd pairing like arms and hamstrings, you don't necessarily have to worry about that. But if you train your entire leg in one session like I do, generally hamstrings are neglected at the end of your quadricep workout. Guys, if you haven't noticed, we're not walking around like Branch Warren here, so we have to pay attention to the hamstring, probably even more than the quadricep, at least in my opinion, because the back of the body is very hard to develop, and hamstrings also require that same mental link that you would have with your back, right? Because you can't see it, you can feel it, but you can't really see them, right? You can't turn your head 360 degrees to be able to see your hamstrings while you're training them, right? So understand that your hamstrings are going to need just as much attention as your quads will, if not more. So now that we've moved on from that, let's move on to glutes. Another pickup that I've gotten from John Meadows. Glutes are very important because they're the largest muscle group in the body. Let's just understand that they are a very, very strong and powerful muscle group, or one of the more powerful muscle groups in the body, I should say, rather than the largest. A lot of dense muscle can be made back there. It's no secret that the guys that have the most shredded glutes also have the most glute growth back there. So I usually like to target it with hip thrusts, whether it be on the Nautilus or on the Hamstrings. or even with a regular barbell or a dumbbell placed in your lap. Again, you will get a good rebound. These come in very handy if you're doing any type of squat or squatting variation. Hack squat, front squat, barbell squat, any type of stuff like that, where you have to get down in the bottom of the hole and have to explode back up. The glutes are going to play heavy into that, as well as the hamstrings. All right. So yes, your quads carry that load, but these two right here will help you power through those movements. Okay. Even with a narrow foot placement or a low foot placement, you are hitting glutes and you are hitting quads. Not 100%, but they're there. Also, developing glutes gives the backside when you're hitting a back double bicep, when you're wearing a nice pair of jeans. It's something to help fill that out, fill that area out and kind of complete it. So definitely want to train your glutes. But again, the rebound effect in a leg backloaded session, very, very important, especially if you're doing any type of squatting movement. So please keep that in mind. Adductors, okay? So I know there's a section within men that kind of shy away from adductor work because it's seen as a woman-dominated exercise, and it is. But again, I have to give credit to Dante Trudell, dog crap for us old schoolers. Developing adductors will give your leg development and the look of your leg a completely different look than not doing adductor work, right? So really the only way you can hit them directly is through the adductor machine. So you have to get unique with your rep scheme, your loading scheme, because yes, this is a great exercise, but for me, I know it pulls at my groin a lot, so I have to be careful with jumping into a heavy weight. Like I can do a stack depending upon what machine I'm using, but also I'm very careful. I take plenty of warm-up sets. I make sure I'm good and ready to get that work in because I need my groin warmed up because I have a previous groin injury. I don't want to feel that again, so I really take my time. I think you should really take your time warming up on these as well. Now when you get to your top weight, how many ever sets that takes you, then that's when you're going to get, you start with, Dante recommends rest pause, and I'll get to that, but I recommend you guys try to get 10 to 15 straight set it, and then you can work on your rest pause, right? So if you're getting 15 by yourself and then you suck in a few breaths, try to get 3 to 5 more, suck in a few breaths, maybe 2 to 3 more, and then maybe 1 or 2, then that's when you start creeping that rest pause set into 20 to 25, maybe even 30 reps rest pause. It really depends upon how strong your adductors get and how big you want them. So why is this muscle important? This muscle is important when you're squatting because there's a lot of adductor work when you're squatting, when you're leg pressing, any type of movement that affects the quadricep, the adductors are involved in. So when you also do your adductor movements, you want to have each rep pause, and you want to make sure that you're contracting that inner thigh to make sure that you're hitting everything that needs to be hit. Again, your leg growth will look completely different. Your thighs will chafe. It is what it is. This is bodybuilding. It ain't always pretty. Put some lotion on down there, but these are just absolutely a great thing to have. Now, calves. I'm a terrible person because I hate training calves. I think it's the most boring thing in the world. Like how people feel about arm training these days, which I don't get, is the way I feel about calf training. However, tight calves prevent you from bottoming out in the squat most times. When a lot of people don't bottom out in their squat is because they don't have the ankle mobility to be able to do so. So, with that being said, doing calves, whether it's seated or whether it's standing, helps give you that ankle mobility. Yeah, there's drills you can do to loosen it up, but this is the most simplest way to get that ankle mobility to be able to bottom out that squat, explode back up, get that full range of motion that will help your leg development as much as you need it, as much as you need your legs to be developed. If you hear noise in the background, I'm in my basement. That's the furnace. It's cold in Minnesota. Sorry. So calves are important, and then I just have to start training them. You got to start training them, because 9 times out of 10, you have nothing back there, just like I do. So let's all make a dedication to start just doing what Arnold did and just start training our calves every day, so we don't need implants, right? And then last but not least, for at least the muscle group section, is quadriceps. Now you're probably looking at this and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be tired by the time I get to quads. No, you won't. You'll go to failure on these, but I'll explain all of this in this section right here. But when you get to quadriceps, you need to pick your bread and butter exercise. That might be leg press, that might be a front squat, that might be a high bar back squat. Whatever type of squatting movement you do, make sure you warm up really well. Your entire leg will be warm. And the wonderful thing about it is that you can ramp up and weight really fast with this if you just play it smart. Okay? And then you can get to your work sets real fast and just really just crush it. And then you'll be able to go on home and recover. But for this to be effective, all of these, I feel, need to be warmed up, good, ready to go, nice and pumped, so you can just really, really work and grind on your quadricep movements. Now, volume. So a lot of people think 20 to 25 sets per week for, I'm sorry, this marker sucks. A lot of people think 20 to 25 sets per week on the volume tip for larger body parts is something that you want to shoot for. So when you're constructing something like this, okay, let's say we do hams. Let's say we train legs once a week. So you can easily get 25 sets out of this. So you could do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you could do five sets and call it good, right? But here's the kicker, in that hamstrings will probably get 1 to 2 movements out of here, right? So if we're gonna go by this 20 to 25 set model, let's do 10 sets for hamstrings and 10 sets for quads. So that leaves us 10 more sets that we can do later in the week, or 15 more sets that we could do later in the week, right? So let's just say the first day is our heavy day, it's our power day. If I'm doing 10 sets here and then 10 sets here, I can come back later in the week and nail those other sets. Now, am I going to do all of this? More than likely. So for this power day, let's say we got 10 sets of hamstrings, we'll do 3 sets of glutes, 3 sets of abductors. So that's already 5, that's 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that's 21 sets. Then calves, if you do 4 to 5 sets, that's more. But really what you want to worry about are the hams and the quads, right? So what I do, and I'm by no means an expert, I'll do all of this. I'll reduce this to the bare minimum because my warm-up sets aren't counting. I'll only do like 2 or 3 sets these days. But I really want to focus on my hams and on my quads. So I'll do 10 to 15 sets, or I'll do 2 exercises, about 10 sets for each of these. And then I'll come back later in the week and then I'll pare it down and I'll do like a pump intensity day where I'm just really trying to pump the muscle up with blood, and I'll use up to 15 sets for these 2 body parts. So that gets me up to 25 sets per week. Now, the reason why this needs to really have an asterisk by it is because the 20 to 25 sets per week is just recommendation. Remember, any advice you get in bodybuilding, I don't care how much has been researched, I don't care how much of it has been peer reviewed, all of this stuff is a recommendation. It is recommending that you take this particular dose of volume and you apply it to your own training. That may or may not work. But in any event, again, it's all a recommendation. I'm just giving recommendations right now. You don't have to take them. Trust me, it ain't going to be the first time. So frequency, again, once or twice a week, as long as you hit a recommended rep, recommended set volume, be okay. Hell, if you train them once a week, you can even hit as high as 30 sets for your leg, which is kind of like normal and old school, but keep in mind that as long as you're hydrating, as long as you're eating, as long as you're sleeping like the way you need to, I would even go the higher amount just to get that muscle under some more stress, and then I would take a day off after and then go back to it. So that's just something to keep in mind. You have to play around with a lot of this stuff too, because bodybuilding gets experimental. There is no one set way. Movement selection. These days, especially with masters bodybuilding, I want you to hear me out on this. I am not big on, I've never been big on any exercises that create detailed separation or any of that. I think that comes from the diet and cardio and you just consistently posing the muscle. If you are a masters competitor, we know that legs are the first noticeable thing to kind of get smaller and tighten up in size. You need to pick the biggest bang for your buck exercises. Squats, leg press, leg extensions to warm the knee up, anything that can put mass on and keep mass on. Those are the exercises that you need to gravitate towards, that you need to really, really grind and work hard on. So that's why I say you need to have all these other body parts warmed up before you even get to this. And I'll be honest with you, your leg workout may take 2 hours to do, even if you are humping. But if you're trying to just really just keep your leg size, rely on that diet and cardio and posing for separation, and then just really smash the weights and the food to get the legs to grow. Your legs can, with everything that we have at our disposal, belt squat, leg press, hack squat, reverse band, all of those options now have opened up brand new growth for a lot of the older population that compete, and a lot of the older population that's really passionate about the iron and staying injury free. Okay, so these are some things that I just want you to keep in mind if you're going to do your leg session. So take some of these tips that I've given you, go to your next leg session, and please flourish. I mean, kick major ass when you're doing it. And something to also think about with your movement selection, if you have to get outside the box with it, if you got to do a unilateral movement or anything like that, please, by all means, do it. Bilateral is great, unilateral is even better because it exposes weaknesses, right? We want to stay strong and healthy into an older age. And for the young people that are listening, obviously load is a very, very, very important factor, but load is finite in my opinion. Yeah, you can get stronger and marginally stronger over time, but how long will that strength help you? And when will it become a hindrance to you have to start thinking about, okay, I need to start thinking about my volume, my frequency, my movement selection, and the intensity techniques that come when I'm putting together my program to get better. So those are some things that I want you to think about. Please take these to the gym. If you have any questions, please let me know. Comment below, like and subscribe to the channel. Guys, I'm really happy that you're here. I'm really happy that you're watching this video. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best. All right? But until then, y'all have a great day. Hoping to bring you an upper body session sometime later this week or early next week. But for right now, please take these tips, and as we go into the new year, let your leg development be even better than it was before. All right? Tenacity Strength out.